Origin chance, reaction. This is why did Russia conquer Siberia? Yeah, why did Russia conquer anything is the hot topic, I guess, of the 2022. Yeah, because people are questioning a lot of that shit. So this is one of the latest video from History Matters, obviously. History Matters is a great channel. Like I said, it's a 3-minute video. I don't know. Look, I looked into how to make videos because I react to it, right? I don't just react to shit. I really go into like how do they do this, right? So I come to a realization like, holy shit, making a good video, which this channel is like 1.5 million subscribers. So a good video, less than 5 or 10 minutes, like 3-4 minutes. How do you do that? So I've never come across any other channel besides this that does it this well. But yeah, there we go. And yes, Siberia, right? I mean, we see Russia and how gigantic it is, right? Spanning all the way to east. And we always wonder like how the fuck they manage this, right? Anybody has ever study how people govern places, they come to realization like kings and whoever cannot govern big places. So how the fuck Russia governs this large body basically? So I know Siberia was part of, I guess, Mongol Empire, right? But in like 14 or something century, right? I think Russia took it over for some reason. I don't know the reason, which this video is going to be interesting about, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It could be anything. Right? We take measuring contest to I don't know, some economical gain, whatever. But yeah, it's going to be fun. People comment down which good historical videos you want me to react to, because my watch later list is lost, right? And right now I'm winging it, right? The only channel right now I can think of is History Matters. That's why I'm reacting to this. And Crowd, basically. So comment down. I'll definitely react to whatever good suggestion you give me, because I love history. That's how I started my channel, historical videos. Obviously now I do a lot of like gaming, general knowledge, and science, many type of reactions. But I love history. I like to continue doing history. So comment down which video is good and you want me to react to. And yeah, let's do this one.
Russia, as you'll be aware, is huge, growing from a medium-sized state in the mid-16th century to this in the mid-1700s. Most of these lands are in what's called...
By the way, this is fucking ridiculous. In a globe, if you've seen it, first time I've seen it, like, what the fuck? Russia doesn't go like this in a globe. Russia goes like this and starts to go up. This area does not go sideways like this, it starts to go up, right? Which is like, holy shit, and that's how Alaska touches it, because it goes up. When you see it in a globe, it feels ridiculous. But obviously, this is such a big place. Of course, it's going to bend it like that. 2D map is different from globe.
Siberia, which were difficult to govern due to their sheer size and placed Russia in contact with more potential rivals. As such, this raises the question,
and -40 degrees Celsius, by the way.
Siberia? What did it have to gain from doing so? Well, it won't surprise you to know that the primary reason was money. As of the reign of Ivan the Terrible, Moscow's lifeblood was trade, often in furs. These were sourced from...
Yeah, see, money can't buy you happiness, man, come on. But yeah, it can buy you a lot of luxury. I've seen that coming, right? Like I said, it's either dick measuring contest, like someone just like, oh, I want to have a gigantic empire, or it's just usually economic. That's the only two factors, right? I don't know if you know, I'm like, oh, look at that, I've seen that coming. But history is somewhat predictable in that way, right? This is not some fucking TV show where it's going to have some kind of a sudden, like, what the fuck? No, it's going to be same everywhere.
From the neighbouring lands and states, which often came into conflict with Moscow. In 1552, Ivan conquered the Khanate of Kazan, and soon afterwards the Astrakhan Khanate. These conquests were both primarily to give Moscow control of the Volga River and thus the region's trade routes. So, with the economic lifeblood of Moscow secured along with some new fancy farmland and peasants there to tax, why did Ivan and his successors push for more? Well, Ivan sent a man called Yermak Timofeyevich to lead an army of Cossacks to pacify the neighbouring states. And he did this for two reasons. The first was to prevent raiding into Moscow's territories, and the second was to extract tribute in the form of furs which would then be sold on to Europe. After the Russians conquered Sibir, from which Siberia gets its name, there was little in the way of organised resistance left, which as a result meant that it only took 60 years for Moscow to conquer all of this. And it made its way there because frankly, nobody could stop them. And for the Tsars of Russia, expansion only had upside.
Yeah, and they went to Alaska but sold it to USA, and now they're basically kicking themselves. Obviously, I know that after, Crimean Wars, they needed to sell Alaska because they didn't have any money. They needed money, but still. Yeah, okay. So first of all, when you see this kind of a foreign, like, oh, they needed they needed, sugar canes and shit like this. Only game I remember that I played and kind of had to manage shit like that economically is Assassin's Creed 3, I guess. I guess that's the first game where you have to okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the first Assassin's Creed game where you have to manage your economy. Right? I remember sending shipments of different shit like that. It felt weird, but like, okay, this is kind of realistic. Like, this is what people used to do, right? Worry about, sugars and shit like that. I remember, selling lumbers and fur just to make profit so I can buy a better armor. But there you go. Other Assassin's Creeds before that had a system, but it was mostly assassin type. What? So that's why people say Assassin's Creed 3, that from there it wasn't an assassin game. Right? Because Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was a really fucking good game and it had a whole assassin system. But in 3, they just made it more economical and open world shit like that.
Siberia was cheap to govern because it basically wasn't governed. Russia planted trading posts and small fortresses along the frontier, which existed to protect roads and river crossings from raiders. As for most of the people who lived in Siberia, many had little idea that they now lived in a place called Russia. In fact, in much of Siberia's north, Russian influence was basically non-existent, and some parts of it wouldn't be fully mapped until the Soviet Union carried out its censuses. It's just that the Russians claimed it, and the people who made the maps weren't exactly going to argue with them. Eventually, the Russians would run into a major power which wanted to expand into the region. The Qing dynasty. When they first came into contact, the Qing were quick to shoot at the Russians until they left. Local leaders continued fighting until leadership in Moscow formally sued for peace. It was agreed that in return for some limited trade access, Russia would renounce any claim to these lands and acknowledge Qing ownership. After both sides had agreed, it wasn't long before the Russians took everything to the north. Again, this was because nothing was stopping them, and it's not like it cost the government much to do so. Also, Russia was now about 20 times as large as it had been a century prior, and its sheer size and by extension prestige was one of the reasons that European leaders acknowledged Russian Tsars becoming Russian emperors. When China would later find itself on the receiving end of European imperial policy, Russia was quick to capitalise, and it took the lands it had previously been denied, meaning that the country would stretch all the way from the Baltic Sea in the west to the Sea of Japan in the east.
That is big.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and a special thanks to my patron.
That last element is big because now they connect to North Korea, right? They have a span all the way to Japanese, basically Japanese sea, whatever, right? It can just literally look at the Japan. That last port, I think there's the largest, station, like from Moscow to all the way there, I forgot the name, which is bordering North Korea and China. Yeah. Russia is ridiculous for all the borders, right? It borders many places in Europe and it borders North Korea of all places and China. Holy shit. Mongolia. I mean, look, lots of people say like, oh, Russia is too big, and then they're like, who gives a shit? Most of Siberian places like empty, it's unusable. What's the point of all that? But like he said in the video, it did give them respect. And even today when you think of Russia, you just think of this gigantic country like, holy shit, Russia is big, land-wise. It's kind of true. So yeah, I mean, you kind of seen that coming, like there's not going to be much of resistance trying to take over those places because who's going to defend them? But at the same time, it also give them strength somehow, because every war that happened in Russia in multiple centuries in the past, Russia kind of won in whenever there's a winter is involved. Why? Because Siberia is cold as fuck. Minus 40 or something degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit, Celsius. Like, damn, just thinking about it just freezes me. Like, look, if I go into like single digit temperatures, I would like, what the fuck, that's too cold, because I live in India. Some of you like, what you talking about? I live that every day. But yeah, that's not the case with me. And now I think about minus, not just minus 40. Yeah, I don't know how human being can live in that condition, but there you go. Well, that was why did Russia conquer Siberia? Because of fur, basically. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. Like I said, comment down what video you want me to react to, and I'll see you next time.